Welcome back. Another episode of The Upgrade. My name is Gary Muttley, and he is the one and only
Len Carmichael, Landmine Studios. What's going on, Gary?
Not a whole lot. How's things down at Landmine, Len?
Pretty good. Put up a new drum cloud this weekend and got some mixes out. Be on the lookout for a redo of the Bottom Feeder demo from 2011. The shitty bass player from the original one, I replaced him completely because all the bass playing was out of tune, out of time, and 2011, and it wasn't my band at the time because I was just the engineer and I wasn't in the band, and they were fine with it, so I just ran with it. But now that I had the moment to go back and fix it and put out an updated product for the 10-year anniversary, because it came out this week 10 years ago, I replayed all the bass since I kind of know the songs from being in the band for about 10 years now.
Nice.
It sounds pretty cool. I think it should be out either this week or next week. But basically, by the time this shows up, the songs should be back out. And
it's just going to be digital, right?
Yeah, just digital. There's no reason to do anything else. It already came out on vinyl the first time, and we sold every single copy that there was. So
nice.
Fuck it. Whatever. Leave it as is.
Well, speaking of vinyl and re-releases, the word came out today that the Billy Club Sandwich EP Superheroes at Leisure, which came out 20 years ago this June, is actually getting re-released on vinyl for the first time. Congratulations
to the whole team. I will be purchasing one of those because it is actually one of my favorite CDs in my entire collection, so I would like to have it on vinyl and to just support the team.
Well, it's cool because first of all, it's limited edition. Second of all, it's a couple of different colors, and it's very limited. I think he's only doing 150 of each color scheme. One is like a blue and red splatter, and the other one is actually black and yellow, similar to Charlie Brown.
Okay, gotcha.
So, and I did not play on that record, but my first show with the band was 20 years ago, and my first show was actually the record release show for that record, and we didn't get the CDs in time.
Shit happens.
We got them a week later, but, what are you going to do?
Yeah. I do have some big projects coming up in the next couple weeks / months, but I'm not really able to talk about them. But when they're coming out, I'll mention more. I probably mentioned to you off camera, but
yeah,
there have been some.
You mentioned a few that sound very interesting and exciting.
Yeah, there have been some major come-ups for Landmine Studios. Part of it has to do with I've been really focusing on making the aesthetic inside the place much better, and just from pictures posted and some of my previous work, I've picked up a lot of business in the last couple of weeks. So things are great.
Well, put that amp collection to work,
bro. The amp collection is out of control, and it's still missing a couple things that are kind of floating. So
wow. My
friend Scott is building me a custom head case for one of the Randall heads that I have.
Oh, really?
So it's a 100-watt Randall RM100. It's the ones that takes those
like those little module things.
The modules from Synergy, and as well from Randall.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about that when I was down there.
So I have one that takes it's like a 50-watt one, so it holds 3. But I also purchased, it holds 2, and then the 100-watt one holds 3, but they were both combos, and I don't really have any use for a combo. I don't really think they sound good for that matter. So I paid for the 50-watt one. I bought it off of eBay. Some guy was already selling it. It was pre-made. It was like $150 shipped, and I put it together. I stained it, whatever, and it's cool, but my boy Scott is physically creating me one from scratch out of high-end wood, and he's been making all kinds of weird cuts and stuff. He says it's in 134 pieces right now, and when it's reassembled, it's going to look absolutely wild. So it's going to be kind of like a centerpiece for the studio. So I'm going to be getting
crazy.
even more of those synergy head modules just to like make it so that having this like centerpiece is awesome.
That's wild.
That's my next come up. And then what other amp is out for service. So when all that stuff is said and done, every single space on both of those racks are already filled, and I don't know what to do next.
Wow. Continuing to make moves with the spot. That's cool.
Got to. It's either move forward or stop.
No, yeah, I mean, you got some wild shit going on down there, which is awesome. And I mean, just the sound on a lot of the amps you have there, just from the couple that I ran through when I was down there, like, whew, shit sounds wild.
I do want to shout out Phil from Sonic Assault Studios in Florida, because I follow him on Facebook and I watch just kind of like what he's doing, but what amps he has and how he's working with them. Mm-hmm. And it's really given me a lot of ideas on either simplifying my approach or complicating my approach in a way that makes it easier to get better sounds. And like, even though he's not directly like teaching me how to do things, just his presence alone in my feed provides me with enough information to like try new things or even scrap shit and go back to the basics. So I just want to shout him out and say thanks to him.
No, that's cool. I shout out also to that dude that you posted the other day that with the R&B vocal thing.
Yo, that was the funniest shit I ever saw. Like, we don't want red lights. Red lights are bad.
You know this microphone sounds good because it's shiny. Oh my God!
More lights means better. Just turn them up. Turn them up. So.
Kevin Billingsley on Facebook. BILLINGSLEA. Uncle Kevin's unsolicited studio tips and tricks is fucking hysterical.
Absolutely.
It's just like, this microphone sounds good because it's shiny.
Honestly, even if you've never been in a studio, you would A, know that it's satire, and B, know that it's absolutely fucking hilarious.
I didn't even notice it because I pulled it up just now, and and looking at it again, I didn't even realize that when he does it, the microphone isn't even plugged in.
Oh yeah, no, it's not even plugged in at all.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, red. You want red?
You want? Just more lights. More lights is better.
More lights. Yeah, all of these things you should turn up. Oh man, that shit is so funny. Anyway, we have a special guest this week.
Super special guest.
And if you know me and you've seen some of my social media, or if you happen to follow him, you might have seen me pop up on there on a rare video, because I rarely appear on video unless I'm playing on stage, because I'm just that way. And actually, my episode was just on last week, and I forgot to mention, Tim, we're putting you on next week.
Okay, awesome.
We'll cut that out. That's what I forgot. I said I knew I had to say something else, and I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah.
There you go. So last week I was on the Horror Flicks and Guitar Picks podcast, and we talked about horror. We talked a little bit about some other stuff. And this week, joining us on our podcast is Tim Mills, a.k.a. Trashmouth, who is the host of the Horror Flicks and Guitar Picks podcast. And I believe Len will be on there soon as well, but we'll try to keep the subjects a little bit different, because otherwise it would be pretty damn boring now, wouldn't it?
I mean, I feel bad for Tim. He's going to spend like 10 hours of his month talking to us.
That's true. We went, what?
I
mean, I know he had to chop it up, so, it'll be less, but I think we went like 2 hours of change when we talked, and I'm sure,
yeah,
Len and I are well known for being, what's that word?
Long-winded.
Long-winded, wordy, whatever you want to call it. We don't shut up.
Yeah, motor mouth.
That's why we have a podcast.
Well, first off, I appreciate you guys having me on the podcast, but yeah, we did go for like 2 hours and some change for sure. I think it was like 2:15 or something, but it'll probably be edited down to like 2:40. I mean 1:40, an hour 30.
You're gonna edit it up to 2:40, just to start doubling back.
Yeah, just
gonna play just gonna play Billy Club sandwich songs at the end until it hits 2:40.
I thought I just play the same song a couple of times, like some bands do.
Yeah, there you go.
Yo, that's when you know it's a great show. Is when the band plays the same song twice.
I saw one time No Redeeming played All I Ask by Breakdown like 5 times in a row.
All right. So
but that's different because they were just being dicks because that's what they do. But
Tim, you're wearing a Terror sweatshirt, right?
Yeah.
I saw Terror do Push It Away twice in a show. I think they played it second, and then Scott wanted to play it again, like right at the end of the set. They were like, "We're gonna do Push It again, Push It Away again," and I was like, "All right, we're gonna push it away. Let's go."
This sounds like a very Vogel thing to do.
Yeah.
No, I've only seen semi-local bands. I've seen you guys might know this band because they come up and play some of the festivals and stuff up in like Pennsylvania and like I don't know if they played any in New York, but Paper Trail from.
I love Paper Trail.
I know the name.
Yeah, they played.
My old band played with. We went on a weekend with Paper Trail.
Oh yeah, no, they're great dudes. They used to put us on shows, even though we were probably more in like the metalcore side of things, like my old band, than like hardcore. But we were like definitely, we were probably more like we didn't fit in anywhere because we weren't metalcore enough, but we weren't hardcore enough type thing.
Yeah.
But they liked us because we were like very tight live and had a very good sound and stuff. So they always like put us on shows with them, and because they knew that we would fit in. It was just getting the chance to fit in. You know what I mean?
Right.
But no, they were the only band I've seen play some songs twice, but it's always because somebody in the crowd would just yell it at the end. They'd be like, "Fuck it, let's do it," because by that time they're drunk. So they're like, let's do it.
The last time I was in New York City, I was actually wearing a Paper Trail shirt. I was headed to see Children of Bodom, and clearly never going to go see Children of Bodom again. But I'm walking down the street, and some guy's like, "Paper Trail, I fucking love Paper Trail." And he was headed to like some hardcore show that I didn't even know was happening. I don't remember which bands, but like we got in a long ass conversation. I'm just like, "Yo, I'm trying to go see Children of Bodom right now. I got a ticket. I gotta go. I'm not coming to your show." He's like, "You should swing by the other show on your way back. It's like right around the corner." I'm like, "Nah, I'm good."
Nah, I'm hating.
Yeah.
Well, if I don't know the band at this point, like it's probably not for me.
Maybe. I mean,
Probably.
that's a very closed-minded attitude.
No, it's not. I said probably. I left some space.
Yeah.
I left some space for the possibility that I'm wrong.
Maybe.
Because I mean, if I was sure, I would say definitely, maybe.
Yeah, I get it. So Tim, what got you into doing podcasts? First of all.
Well, so I used to, like I said, I used to play in a band, and I wanted to kind of do that again, and I tried, and I even actually got my old band back together and everything, and we were writing new music, and then it fell apart before we even got into playing shows again. And so at that point, and when it came to that stuff, I pretty much did everything for that. So, like I did all the booking. The only thing I wrote all the music, I did all the booking, and I did, I even got to the point where I was learning how to do Photoshop just so we could cut corners on that cost and make all the shit ourselves there. So I got very used to just figuring out how to do shit. And so when the music stuff wasn't working out, I was really diving into horror more and more. About probably 2017 or 2018. And but that's about the time that the band tried to happen and it didn't work out. So 2019, I finally figured out I'd just do a podcast and try to do another creative outlet, and podcasts were huge, and that was what I was listening to every day at work because I was doing a little Debbie route where I was just delivering snack cakes and shit. So I had plenty of time driving and listening to podcasts.
Bro.
Dude.
No, I couldn't do that job.
No.
They'd be like, so the deliveries didn't get there.
I could eat what I wanted to too.
No.
That would be 1,000 pounds. The truck. The truck.
Yo, you would be the truck.
I would be the truck.
Oh
yeah.
My God.
I'd be driving myself places.
That's like a dream and nightmare job at the same time.
So you got a Segway with a backpack.
So speaking of Paper Trail, so you're in the VA area?
Well, I'm in North Carolina, but 45 minutes south of Virginia Beach. So my band, we don't have a scene here because it's a real country town and stuff. But so we would go to Virginia Beach. We'd play Chesapeake, Norfolk, sometimes Richmond, and then like in North Carolina we'd go to like Raleigh and Greenville and shit like that. So
Right.
but Paper Trail was, they played a ton of hometown shows, and if they didn't play the home, if they weren't headlining, they were playing like, they were the main support for a lot of the shows that I went to that I didn't play. Like every time there was a big hardcore show coming through, they were usually the support and shit like that. So being the big, being the big local. So
Right.
Yeah, we played in what was it, Norfolk once? I think that's the furthest, unless except for the jump down to Florida. I think Norfolk was the furthest south we played besides Florida.
Oh yeah,
that was a cool show. They had a pretty good scene there, and there was a fight, so we felt right at home.
Yeah. Plenty of fights in Virginia Beach.
When we played in Virginia Beach, it was legitimately a war zone through like 75% of our fucking set the last time we played there. Like nice. People just smashing the ever living shit out of each other.
Nice.
And I'm here for it. Like, have fun, beat the shit out of each other, but at least smile when you're done. Like, I don't want to have actual beef.
Yeah, they used to. There were some bands that, like, I saw bands get beat up a couple times in Virginia Beach.
Oh wow!
But that was like kind of the mixture. That was the problem with the mixture of like Virginia Beach and like Norfolk and stuff. That's what I'm saying is like we didn't fit in. Like, so for instance, like our band would play a show with all these metalcore bands, and we'd sell all of our tickets to these hardcore kids, and they'd come out and beat up the bands, and it's like not our fault. Not our fault that this third band named Convictions got beat up today. It's like,
oh man,
and shit like that. So, like, I don't know. It's but to get back to the what you asked me about the podcast thing, but that's pretty much what led to me doing the podcast, was trying to find a creative outlet. And because of having that DIY attitude of, with the music that I was doing, I pretty much did the same thing with the podcast. I went on the hunt for a co-host and snagged a computer and a microphone and just learned how to edit that shit by myself. And I used some old music that I wrote for an intro and pretty much just picked a topic. And I originally did one where I like reviewed horror movies, and it turned into an interview thing with a few people. But my co-host bailed on me right about the time I ran out of interviews, so that kind of fell apart. And then a year later, I came up with this idea, and so now that's what I'm doing now.
So you say you wrote the music. So what do you play guitar?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you like big into gear, or are you just kind of like play whatever comes in the way?
I've had a 65 plus and some EMGs for about 10 years now, so I just like, that sounds good enough. Like, it could sound better, but it sounds good enough.
Dude, that's more than enough to get you across the fucking finish.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah, but so that's pretty much, like, that's why we always had a good sound and stuff like that, because we started out playing shows with like good gear and shit. We didn't come up there with like combo amps like you were talking about, earlier, and or like Line 6 Spider fucking
I was just gonna say show up with Line 6.
Yeah, so I think that's one thing we kind of got that's why we got a little bit of like a boost, like a little bit of respect locally. Like, we never did anything, outside of maybe Virginia, and a little bit of people in North Carolina liked us, but I think that's mostly wise, because we actually like came out and sounded how we sounded like on our recordings and stuff, where a lot of bands were like, yeah, they program their drums, and you can tell.
Oh, that is the absolute worst. So I spend, as you know, or at least have an idea, I run Landmine, and when you have bands where the drummer is just the worst part of the band, and it's like there's no saving this, and it would be easier for me to program it than, and I'm not even good at programming drums, but this would be easier for me to program than for me to sit here for hours on end fixing your drummer.
Yeah, being a recording, being that you're into recording, you might know. Do you know Jamie King from North Carolina?
Yep.
I went and recorded an album with him one time, and our drummer was actually like, he was a really good drummer and everything, but even then he still like I gotta say that. Well, he did really good on recording, but it was just like, even with the heads and everything, he still felt like to get the sound, because at the time it was like we were kind of, it was the band I did before the band that I wrote everything for, so I was kind of just, at that time I was just trying to play some music, so I jumped into a band that was more like genty sounding and stuff. So they wanted that processed sound, so of course like he still had to like add the shit like that, like the samples and stuff, but he was telling us some horror stories of bands that it was pretty much like the guy would come in and he would just give up, so he'd let him play like what he told him was the final track, and then would literally just listen to it and do it by ear, just so he didn't have to like tell the guy that it was all drum samples, because he would refuse to do drum samples or whatever. It's like, sometimes you can't play what you write, bro.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I do put in. So there's a way to do samples that doesn't sound fake.
Yeah.
And then there's a way that it just sounds processed. What I do is that I actually have the bands make me samples while we're recording. So we'll finish a bunch of songs and I'll be like, all right, let's, make some samples out of this drum kit right here in this room. So then when I put my samples in, they match the kit almost completely, and it's easier to manipulate them. Kick drums is, you can do whatever you want with kick drums. Nobody gives a fuck. But snare and toms, if you're not using something off of the same kit, it's always going to sound weird.
Oh, yeah.
So there's ways around it to make it sound less fake. But if I was doing a gent band, I would
that word.
It is what it is. If I was doing one of those start-stop chuggy bands, I would just use a bunch of fake samples, because that's what they're looking for. Everything over the top.
Yeah, this was back when that era was like that was the word used. That's why I'm like, I don't have a better word for it. Maybe melodic hardcore. Well, no, I don't like that word either. But
there's no other word for it other than just like a metal band. But if you're trying to if you tell me metal band, I immediately think something actual metal, not So I need a word that points me in the direction of that. Yeah. And that's the only one. Do I listen to that style? No, but if you say that word, I know what band type you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly what led to me dipping. Pretty much was I was playing in this beat down style metalcore band. I started playing just to play with the the gent band, for lack of a better word, and then I started playing with this more beat down metalcore band that was something that I actually enjoyed. We were in the vein of bands at the time of maybe probably Thick as Blood, but a little bit more on the metalcore side of things, and then Sovereign Strength and Recon and shit like that. So when I say metalcore, I don't mean fucking what's the shitty Devil Wears Prada type metalcore. I mean heavy ass metalcore.
I don't even care. I don't even consider that metalcore. I don't know what it is. But
I don't know what that is either.
Yeah.
But that's they call all this stuff deathcore, and I'm like, that's not deathcore.
People call it strain deathcore, and I'm like, no.
Irate was deathcore
when deathcore was a real thing.
Yeah, that was deathcore. This, I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
but don't mind me. That's just me hating.
Go to Mentis.
Yeah, go to Mentis. Perfect example.
Now, if you don't at least hate on a few things, are you really human?
Dude, all I do.
Oh, dude, you're talking to the hater elite squad here. So if we ain't hating, we definitely ain't living. I can tell you that.
Yeah, seriously.
I heard the hate when I first came into the chat room. That's for sure. I had to y'all made me change my back. I got bullied into changing my back.
We'll get there. Don't worry. That conversation will need to happen. We'll get there. So you've been doing the podcast for how long? Since I
hit a year next month in April.
Oh,
so yeah.
Okay. So sitting around due to COVID kind of motivated you a little bit?
Well, actually, what's funny is I started to start it before COVID even came in, because I was supposed to record a few of my first episodes with people live. One of my first episodes was supposed to be with Frank from Hatebreed, and I never ended up linking up with him because the show got canceled. I was supposed to link up with him in person, then the show got canceled, and when I hit him up, it was kind of at an awkward time, because it was right when stuff was getting canceled. So we were trying to make things work, and he's like, well, I don't really know what my schedule looks like. So, and then as time went on, it just hasn't happened. So I might hit him up, again in the future and try to make it, see if we can make it work. But and then one of my guests that I've had in the past was Anthony, the bass player from Straight from the Past. He makes a couple of of his own horror films as well and stuff. And I was supposed to link up with him at Epicenter, which was this big music festival with Metallica was going to play 2 sets, Sick of It All and Agnostic Front were there, Rancid. And so I was super excited about that, and I was going to get to hang out with him and do the podcast and shit live or whatever. And of course, it sucks to edit out background noise, but it's also cool to like chat with somebody in person. But
Yeah.
So all that got fucked up with COVID pretty much. So it turned into like, it worked out for the better because in the long run, I was trying to set up a lot of people like as they came through town and all that stuff because I didn't really know how like the tour life works. You know, some people are in a van and don't have Wi-Fi, and some people are in a bus and do have Wi-Fi. So it's like you can't always bank on that shit. So COVID ended up being.
And all the touring I ever did, it was all vans.
Yeah.
Sometimes even in a car.
Oh yeah, I definitely have been in the. I've been in a Dodge Dakota with an extended cab and a thing over the back of the bed with our shit like literally full in the bed or whatever.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
For like a weekend or whatever, but well, we had places to stay. Of course, we didn't like sleep in it, but so pretty much COVID just helped with that's why I've been able to stay steady. Like even though I'm hitting a year next month, which is what 52 weeks in a year. I'm not the smartest guy, but I can figure it out. I can figure everything out. I just use Google or YouTube. But so I've like it's 52 weeks in a year, and like for instance, your episode I think is episode 63. So I've done like mad bonus episodes. I've been every Tuesday for a year. I haven't taken a week off and stuff. So it's definitely helped me have plenty of guests. Even some of the horror guests I have, like I definitely don't think I would have had if it wasn't for them being stuck at home for COVID and shit. Like Millie Shapiro from Hereditary. She hopped on, and W. Earl Brown, who played Kenny from Scream. He was in Deadwood. He was in Preacher, all that shit. So,
I was just saying, you've had some pretty high profile guests. It's pretty cool to between movie people and music people. You've had some pretty big names. It's pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, I just shoot that shot, and hopefully they come back to me. Some people, I've hit up so many people, and sometimes they don't respond. Like for instance, actually, Gary, like I added you quite a bit ago on Facebook, and like I'd been plotting on like asking you to be on the show, being a fan of Billy Club and stuff, because that's how sometimes I find people is like, and you can edit this out so people don't bug you guys, but sometimes I'll go on Facebook and find where people put, I work for, you say work for Billy Club Sandwich. So I was like, oh shit, I see his picture, he's playing bass, so he must play bass for Billy Club Sandwich. So I added you, and I just like, I plotted on eventually asking you, but I think when I added you at the time, I like had a bunch of interviews I had to like try to set up. So that's why like, it wasn't like an instant ask type thing. So pretty much I shoot my shot in different, so many different ways. Like, it'll either be on Facebook, I'll find somebody that way, or like literally I'll Instagram message the band account for some bands. Like, and then some, some people have their email attached to their Instagram, so I'll email it. So I just really pretty much just try everybody. Like Doc, I saw you guys had Doc as well. I had him on my podcast, from God Forbid and Bad Wolves and stuff. And I just DM'd him, and even though he's got 60K followers, he still DM'd me back and said, "Yeah, man, I'd love to talk about horror movies." So just works out, Just some people are scared to reach out and for their podcasts and stuff. And every time they ask me, how do you do it? I'm like, how the fuck would you do it if you didn't know how to do it? Like, you literally just try. Like, you just ask them whichever way you can think of how to ask. So shit, I've tweeted at Charlie from Anthrax, and he just tweeted me back the next morning and was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." So it's just like sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. So.
See, to me, like, I have that stuff up on Facebook, and like, if I didn't want people bothering me about Billy Club, then I wouldn't put it up there. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't, like, I know you're worried about people bugging me or whatever. Like, I don't, like, listen, if the worst problem that I have is that people are bugging me because they like my band, like, what's, that's not really something for me to complain about. I don't mind people approaching me, and if it's something that I'm not into, then whatever. But like, I'm not a dick about it.
I kind of am, but like, it is what it is.
I was about to say, if any band dudes listen and have anything in their bio and they don't want people hitting them up, then it's very simple. Just take it out of your bio.
Yeah, don't put it there.
It's not my fault. Yeah.
Like, I don't, anything you put up, like when it comes to social media stuff, like anything you put up there, people are going to see it. So if you don't want people bothering you, like, and some people are like that. Like, listen, do I approve every friend request? Not necessarily, but I'm not, and it's just limits, because a lot of times you get bots and all that bullshit, and like add somebody that you don't know, and then suddenly they're sending you messages about joining the Illuminati. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's
like I had.
Did you get one of those, Len?
No.
Because I got one of those recently on Instagram, and I know a bunch of people that got it from the same one.
Dude, I delete. So the Landmine Studios account is wide open. Anyone can add me on there and talk to me through that. But my personal Instagram is locked up tight. So if you want to be my friend on Instagram, you gotta try and add me. So if you add me and you're locked, you get the instant delete unless I know you. If I know you, fine, I'll let you in through the door. Otherwise, I need to be able to look at your profile and determine, are you real or are you not real? Am I going to regret this? Are you a punisher? Like, I don't want the pain of adding people that I don't want to interact with in my own personal forum. If you want to add me on the Landmine Studios thing and punish me there, fine. But at some point, hopefully, you're going to pay me, so I'll get some comeuppance from the pain. Because you know what I mean. Like I'm doing the long play here, so I need my Facebook is the same way. I have probably 250 people sitting in my friend request bucket that I absolutely refuse to add because I either don't know them. They haven't, like, you could add me and then send me a message and be like, hey, I was trying to talk to you, whatever, and then I'll talk to you and then I'll probably add you. But if you just send me a friend request and I don't know who you are, I just can't, willfully let you in the door because I have been burned too many times where people have added me. And then as soon as I say yes, as soon as I hit the yes button, it's either I figure out that they are a bot or it's some dude that wants to just me to add their band. So as soon as I say yes, then 10 seconds later, the come check my band out message comes through, and I'm like, I gotta delete you and block your band because I can't deal with this. This is bullshit. Stop with the nonsense.
I don't check out our new video or some shit.
I don't message people and go, hey, let me go add Landmine and this, that, the other thing. Or I don't even say, hey, go add the upgrade. I just post about it when it happens, and if you see it and you add it, great. If you see it and you don't add it, great. I don't care. I do the things that I do because I want to do them, and I'm not looking for the public okay for me to do the things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I'm not really out there looking for that kind of shit.
Yeah, same thing for me. When we started the upgrade, I sent the thing around to a bunch of people, and then I don't punish people with it.
Yep. One cent.
If you're into it, you're into it. If you're not, whatever. I'm not worried about it.
And I had Keir Gilchrist on, who's in that band, the band's Whelm and Phalanx.
I fucking love that show he's on.
Oh,
Typical.
Hell yeah. Yeah, they're shooting a new season, I think, right now is what he was telling me.
So, I know that the show's a little cheesy, and I know that he's not actually autistic, so it makes it a little bit weird for him to play an autistic kid, but I love the fucking show. And, the whole family in the show is all, people I really enjoy.
Yeah. No, I was noticing that as well, because I actually I knew he was on the show, but I hadn't paid any attention to trailers or anything or the rest of the cast up until I interviewed him. But I was noticing that the rest of the cast was stacked as well. But he has the same kind of deal where he has a Keir Gilchrist official page, and then he has his own page where he keeps hidden and stuff. Mm-hmm. So for instance, when I had him as a guest, he was like, "Hey, you can tag the Keir page." He's like, "But please don't tag this other page." He's like, "Because this is for." For people to actually be able to get up with me and shit without being in a swamp full of DMs and shit. So
yeah, I see a lot of people like that. I see a lot of pro wrestlers that have it set up like that, which I understand.
Oh yeah.
Side note:
as much as I love pro wrestling, there's nothing more punishing than pro wrestling fans sometimes.
Yeah.
Jennifer Jason Leigh is the mother in Atypical, and I have had a long-lasting, permanent crush on Jennifer Jason Leigh since Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And I was a kid when that movie came out, but I was still watching it because... So, we're canceling lots of things in the world these days. Pepe got canceled. Well, sort of got canceled. Dr. Seuss had some books pulled off by their own volition. They pulled them off, so it's not really canceled, but whatever. Like, a lot of stuff is going on. Fast Times is a movie that could certainly get into the territory of questionable movie, but I still think it's fucking amazing, end to end, and I probably shouldn't have been watching it I guess it came out in 82, so I probably didn't see it till 84 or 85, but I was still only like 9 the first time I saw that movie, and I've been obsessed with it since, and Jennifer Jason Leigh has long time been a major crush. So that was the main reason I started watching Atypical to begin with. Like, I saw the premise of the show, and then I saw Michael Rappaport is on it, and I'm like, all right, cool. And then I was like, oh, Jennifer Jason Leigh is the mom? Boom, I'm in there. Ding. I am in there. Because, like, obviously you guys saw The Hateful Eight, right?
Yeah.
Daisy Domergue was a fucking perfect character for her.
Yeah, she killed that shit.
So good. I watched it in 70 or 80 millimeter or whatever the fucking thing. I went to the, like, specialty movie showing of it, and I just sat there in the back all by myself. Called out of work, the whole deal.
Nice. What did I see her in recently?
She's in Possessor? She was in that.
That's what it was.
Dude, she's in Possessor. I've been meaning to watch that.
Yeah, I finally... Was it John Wren that mentioned it to us? I think it was. Yeah. And then I finally watched it like a couple weeks ago. That's a fucking dark-ass movie.
Yeah, that was my favorite one of last year.
Yeah. And that was Cronenberg's son. And there's some definite visual Cronenberg in there.
Yeah, it feels like Cronenberg. It feels like his dad mixed with Christopher Nolan in a way.
Yeah.
Like the sci-fi of Christopher Nolan mixed with like the body horror of David Cronenberg.
Yeah, there's definitely some body horror stuff and definitely some like visual, like old school effects type stuff. I won't spoil it for anybody, but some old school visual effect stuff that was very Cronenberg, and I was like, wow, this is wild. But it's a dark as shit movie.
I think it's streaming on Hulu too. If you have Hulu and want to,
that's where I watched it.
Check it out, Len. Yeah,
I'm not sure if I have Hulu. I know I have Netflix because I pay for it myself, and then I got gifted the Disney Plus and Paramount Plus, and maybe one of the other ones. Just like I got the hookup, but I'm not sure if I have Hulu or not. But I even if I have to spend, well, let's be serious. I have NordVPN. And I'll just fucking download the goddamn movie as if I was in Belgium. I'll just log in as if I'm in Belgium and download the movie if I can't get it for free. Because there's no reason to pay for anything these days.
True.
Well, I'll say this. If you want to take that plunge, they have a deal with like Hulu. What is it? Hulu, Disney Plus, and...
Oh, well, if it's then I probably have... I have Disney
like that trio. They call it like the Disney package Express now or whatever. But it's all three of those for like a cheap price.
All right. Well, then I probably haven't. I just haven't logged in to use it.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what I'm doing.
I didn't jump on it right away because I already had the free Disney Plus. But I think at one point it was so cheap. I was like, you know what? I'll just get it, and it doesn't kick in until my free Disney Plus is over. Mm-hmm. And then I don't even remember how much it is, but it's not much.
So how much is she in this movie?
Not a lot. She's got a very important role.
Yeah.
But it's not a lot. But I mean, the whole concept of the movie is crazy. And it's just, like I said, it's real dark, especially the ending. But it's good, and if you like the classic Cronenberg shit, it's like a new twist. Like Tim said, it's kind of a cross between like the classic Cronenberg, but also mixed with some Nolan and like a couple of other more contemporary type of styles. But it's really good.
Okay, I'll definitely check it out. And just to be on that same fucking tip, the only other girl that has held my fucking attention since the mid 80s is Elizabeth Shue. Like, the two of those from that time period, it still can do no wrong. So when she showed up on the boys, but even the remake of this Karate Kid thing, the Cobra Kai thing.
Oh yeah.
I was ready to flip the table over. I was so excited. I made my post on all I did was post her name on the I was like Allie Mills on the fucking on Facebook. I didn't say anything else because I was just so fucking excited that she showed up.
Yeah, I didn't even know that she was going to pop up in The Boys, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, she's like one of the main characters in the Boys, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that first season.
Yeah.
I just got into the second season of The Boys, but that show is fucking awesome.
That show is wild.
Yeah, I started to watch the second season myself, but the first season was fucking epic.
It's like, as crazy as it is, the comic is even more crazy, but there's stuff, I mean, supposedly they're going to push it with season 3, because there's some stuff that I thought they would never be able to do, but they said they're going to do in season 3, so I'm curious to see what they do with it. But man, the comic is wild.
Did you ever watch Preacher?
I did, and I don't know, something about it I couldn't get with it, but like, I was a huge fan of the comic.
Yeah.
Because the same writer, Garth Ennis.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite comic book writers. He did a run on the Punisher that is like iconic.
Oh yeah.
But I can't, like, the Preacher TV show just kind of lost me. And I thought maybe it was just me, but then I know other people who felt the same way. But
yeah,
I just couldn't get into it the way I was really excited for it, and then it just didn't deliver for me.
Oh yeah, no, I'll be honest, it's one of my favorite shows, but I can definitely see why, because they did change quite a bit from the comics. So it's kind of one of those. It's like, if you can get with the changes, I can see where.
Yeah,
that's why I like it. But if you can't, I could definitely see why I'm not.
I can adjust. It's just, I don't know. There was something about it that just didn't agree with me. I can adjust because, like, I like The Walking Dead, and The Walking Dead swerved way off of the comics a long, long time ago.
Are you still watching The Walking Dead?
I am.
I gave up.
I might be the only person that I know that still watches it at this point, because everybody else that I know is like, oh, that shit sucks, and it's got so bad, and I gave up on season 3 or something. But like, so I still like it just started up again, and I'm still watching it.
I made it all the way up to the end of the season in which Glenn got killed.
Yeah.
So I left off where they had the dude in prison, and that's where, like, the cliffhanger was, and I just never went back. I just stopped watching it completely.
It's way past its prime, and they know that, because apparently this upcoming season is the last.
Okay.
But they've started doing spin-offs and all this other stuff. But I enjoyed it. Like I said, it's past its prime. Like, the first couple of seasons were great, and they went in some weird directions, and some of the writing wasn't great, but I enjoyed it. But back to my original point, it's very different from the comic book, but I can adjust. Like, a lot of stuff, you're not always going to stick exactly to the source material, but as long as you're trying to tell a good story, I can deal with the changes. Like, if you ever watched the Watchmen movie, they changed stuff from the original comic, but I was with it because it made sense.
Yeah, I love that movie, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Oh, I love that movie too. And you could tell, like, if you sit there and watch it, you can see that they took, like, panels from the comic and use that as a storyboard to just create the action, down to, like, the people in the same position as they were in the comic panel.
Yeah.
You know? But a lot of people didn't like that movie, but I really enjoyed it, and the changes that they made, I understood.
I didn't get a chance to watch that movie yet.
Yeah.
And it's not like it hasn't been out and I didn't have the chance. I just, at the time that it came out, I was not as aware of why I should watch it.
Right.
And then I watched the TV show.
Yeah, the TV show.
And that shit blew my mind.
Yeah, the TV show was in a whole other direction. That's
but I
what
still
was
want to go
crazy.
back.
That was what was crazy about the TV show, because the TV show is a sequel not to the movie. It's a sequel to the original comic, because there's stuff that they took out of the movie. Certain things like the squids and stuff like that weren't in the movie. Mm. That was one of those changes that I was talking about. But when they did the TV show, it's directly coming out of the comic.
Hell yeah.
So it's weird, and some people are confused by that. But if you go into it knowing that, then you'll understand. And some people didn't like that, but you know what? Like, that's the choice they made. So what's the big deal? You know, I guess they're stuck on it. It's got to be a sequel to the movie. Like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much material out there that you could take in so many different directions, and it was a crazy move that they did that, but it works. But it's no different from like the Joker movie not tying into the other DC
really
movies
specifically.
And if you tell a good story, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Because the Joker movie was fantastic. But am I sitting there crying like, I don't understand, it doesn't tie into Justice League? No.
It doesn't need to. It's just
I don't want it to tie into Justice League. Justice League was a pile of shit.
I actually enjoyed the Joker.
Yeah.
Like not a lot of people, but some people really shit on it. And I was like, nah, it's actually pretty good.
No,
yeah,
I thought
I agree. I thought it was pretty good too myself.
And they filmed some of it in the Bronx.
Hell
yeah, but you were saying that people were trying to do the stairs.
Oh, people are still pissed that everybody goes to those stairs now, because that's pretty hood over there.
Yeah,
so I guess they're not happy with being a tourist attraction now. Oh well,
it is what it is.
Yeah, whatever. What are you gonna do?
So I found myself watching WandaVision over the course of the last week. I watched the whole kit and caboodle. And I'm not really into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I really haven't watched any of that shit. Right. But everybody was talking about it, so I was like, all right, well, let me watch the first episode and see what the fuck is up. And I'm like, all right, this is weird, but let me keep watching it. And I just keep getting sucked deeper and deeper and deeper into this like basically 10 or 9 episode movie. That's only a half hour, 45 minute per episode or whatever. But it's not. You couldn't do a movie and get all this shit across, so you kind of needed the series element.
It's like an extended movie,
right? I fucking loved it by the end. Loved it.
It's crazy, but once you can kind of wrap your head around it, it's really wild. And you know, I come from a different perspective because I'm a diehard Marvel nerd, seen every one of the movies multiple times. If you're deep into it like I am, there's a lot of crazy payoffs all over it. But even if you're not, there's still a story there that you can grasp onto as a newcomer. Tim, what'd you think of that? You a Marvel guy?
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm right there with you. I'm a pretty big Marvel fan. There's a few movies that I've missed throughout. I'm kind of ashamed to say which ones I've missed, but because they're kind of...
Well, now you got to say it.
I've actually missed the 2 Ant-Man movies, and then I've missed all 3 Iron Man movies. But I've seen every single thing else. Like, I've seen all 3 Thor movies. I've seen all the Avengers. I've seen all the Captain Americas, Black Panther. I'm looking forward to Black Widow coming out soon, and I plan on I've tried to watch Iron Man a couple of times. I just fell asleep like a few times, and then I gave up because by then, like, I think by the time I tried to watch Iron Man, other shit was out. But to talk about WandaVision, I really enjoyed WandaVision, and that was the first series I watched of Marvel, because I know they did all the Netflix shit, which wasn't connected, but it was still done by the same like Marvel studio brand company and stuff.
Yeah, they weren't officially connected storyline wise, but some of the same people worked on them.
Yeah. So I know that those were like of high quality too, and I saw some scenes that made me want to watch some of those, but I just could never dive in. But with WandaVision, because I was already like into the characters of Wanda and Vision and stuff like that, I got really into it. The one thing that kind of annoyed me mostly was the negative reviews after the fact, and I'm like, I feel like that's only because everybody let all the all the fan theories like build up their own expectations, and it's like what we got from the show was honestly exactly what I expected before all these fan theories came out of like, oh, this, I'm not going to spoil it, but this, they said this was going to happen, or this person was going to show up, or and it's like those things never happened, and it's like the show was still excellent, and it didn't need those, all those. The fan theories were cool, and it was cool kind of watching the shows like hoping that somebody showed up that had never shown up in Marvel before or something like that, and it's like, and I mean that does kind of happen in a way, but but I mean like a whole new character or something like that, you know what I mean? And it's like at the time, I was wishing for that shit, but when it didn't happen, I was like, okay, I can't let some crazy ass fan theory let me get disappointed, because I built the expectation up. So I thought it was like excellent, and it was I feel like any negative reviews are literally just people coming out of that, coming out of the other side with just too high of expectations because of as soon as they hear a fan theory, that's what they want, and if they don't get it, it's like, oh, it wasn't good enough.
Yeah, I agree with you, because I think there were all kinds of crazy theories flying around, and then I saw people disappointed. But it's weird because they're disappointed by their own theories when nobody ever promised them anything.
Yeah.
It's not like they didn't come through on something. So people were just upset because they put it in their own head, and that got them upset. So it's like, you can't really complain about that. You know what I compare it to in a way? Len, you ever see Prometheus?
I did.
Yeah. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, it was all right. I didn't have a lot on it going in, because basically Alien and Aliens are like the two movies, and anything that you start to do outside of that, my expectations start to go down.
Yeah.
It's just like this coming to America thing. People are crying about it on the internet, and I'm like, dude, what did you expect?
Right.
You just need to bring your expectations down.
That's what the real problem is. And Tim, you saw Prometheus, right?
Yeah, I saw it like once when it came out, and I didn't dislike it, but I kind of know where you're going with about Prometheus. For sure. Yeah,
I mean, my point and my comparison is that so many, they went out of their way to say to people, it's not an alien movie.
Yeah.
And I understand why they said that, and people ignored that because the criticism that it got was exactly why they said that, because everybody expected it to be an alien movie.
Yeah.
And yes, storyline, it ties directly into the alien movies, but it's not an alien movie because it doesn't work the same kind of way. So many people were disappointed because they got themselves worked up that it's a fucking alien movie. And it's not.
Yeah.
Because they're expecting, like Tim, when I was on your show, we talked about Alien a little bit, and it was pitched as Jaws in space.
Yeah.
and it's funny, but it's true.
Yeah, it's true. No, I know. But it's funny when you say it.
Yeah, because I watched it with my girlfriend, and then I was reading like the trivia stuff on IMDb, and then I saw that was how they initially pitched it, and we had a good laugh about it. But then you realize, like, it's an accurate pitch.
Yeah.
So now you got Prometheus, and everybody's like, "Ooh, it's another alien movie," and it's not. And they went out of their way to tell people that it's not, because story-wise, it's not. But people got their expectations so high, just like with WandaVision, that when it doesn't pay off, all of a sudden, oh, the movie sucks.
Yeah, like the same thing. I don't know if you saw Unbreakable and Split. Have you seen those two?
Yep.
I saw all three of them in the series.
Yeah.
And each one is its own separate movie. They're just tied together by characters, not.
Yeah.
But I mean, a little bit story, but each one is a kind of a character development about that specific piece.
Yeah. No, and I think if they would have tried to market Split as any kind of Unbreakable sequel, it would have had so many people come out disappointed because there's nothing to do with Unbreakable except for a post-credit scene. So it's like, if they would have tried to market that, it would have pissed people off, but not marketing that way. Like, I was in a theater, I think I went and saw that movie with 3 other people, and all 3 of the people I went and saw that movie with, I saw Split with 3 other people, and they had not seen Unbreakable. Right. So when that scene happened at the end, I'm like, holy shit. Yeah. And like, all of them were like, what? Like, oh, Bruce Willis? And I was like, no, motherfucker. Like, I was like that, you know, like, I think even my dad was so naive to it. He was like, is this was that the guy from Sixth Sense? Like, trying to think it was like the same character from Sixth Sense just because it was M. Night or whatever. And I was like, no, I was like, that's Unbreakable. I was like, that's I think David Dunn, you know, I think is his name. And I was like, that makes this shit more epic. I was like, I think if that would have been, like, if I would have already known about that, I think I would have been disappointed. And if you take it out of Split, I think it leaves it just kind of being like a middle of the pack, you know, not bad, but not great movie.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I agree.
But like going into the theater and having that experience, and it like, I mean, with Prometheus, and I think people trying to like burn that theory of it being an alien movie into it is like you said, it kind of ruined their expectations. And it's the same thing with WandaVision, like people trying to burn the fact that, and this is a small spoiler, but it's not a spoiler, but it's a spoiler of something that people think was going to happen that didn't happen. But everybody thought Reed Richards was going to fucking show up just because she mentioned she knows a scientist, and it's like literally the scientist character is a nobody. It's like they matter for shit. They're an extra. So it's like. Yeah, everybody theorized,
and that was it.
Yeah, and everybody that theorizes that as being Reed Richards and stuff, those are the people that are disappointed and stuff. And it's like, you definitely did that to yourself. So it's the same thing as like if they would have, when when the people immediately were like, Prometheus is an alien movie, and then they get no xenomorph until I think they show like eggs at the end of the movie or something like that. I think that's
I forget, but that's exactly what it is. It's just everybody has their expectations. And then when it doesn't meet their expectations, all of a sudden they're upset.
Yeah.
You know? Because to me, WandaVision was great. And, yeah, I had my own theories that turned out to not be true, and it just like everybody else did. But in the end, I'm not going to blame the movie for that or the show for that. If I had a theory and it turns out to not be right, then that's that's on me.
Yeah.
So, as somebody that's not involved in the MCU, really, and I'm watching this show, and then at the end, she's basically shows up as the Scarlet Witch. Is the Scarlet Witch an actual MCU character? Is that who she's really supposed to be, and not just Wanda? Like, I'm just trying to understand the significance of that.
It's complicated because the comics are very different, and there's a lot more to that character in the comics, and much like what we were talking about with the other stuff, they obviously have to make changes. Mm-hmm. And there's, that was also part of the speculation because there's a whole history to this character in the comic books that doesn't exist in the movies, mainly because it ties into the X-Men. Mm-hmm. And the X-Men were owned by Fox and a completely separate thing. And then, Disney eventually bought Fox. But, people had all kinds of theories that tied into the comic book origins and stuff like that. There's a mythology to the Scarlet Witch as a concept, like what they kind of tie in with the witchcraft stuff and everything.
Right.
But she was the Scarlet Witch in the comics, and like I said, there's so much more story to that.
Because, like,
they've changed, obviously.
With Superman, he's Clark Kent, but then he's Superman. Is it just like she's Wanda and she's Scarlet Witch, or is she just Scarlet Witch now?
She was both. The thing with Marvel versus DC is that there's a lot of characters in Marvel that don't go by that alter ego thing.
Mm.
There are some. Iron Man kind of blew that out of the water because in one of the Iron Man movies, he basically comes out and takes his helmet off and is like, I'm Tony Stark, I'm Iron Man. And everybody's like, oh my God. And a lot of the other characters just don't have alter egos at all. And they're just, yeah, you know, he's Thor.
Right.
Or, you know, Bruce Banner is the Hulk. Like,
so how many times did you guys watch WandaVision? Just once through?
I watched most of the episodes I watched twice.
Okay. I've only watched it once through, but they kind of like foreshadowed her turning into I noticed it. They foreshadowed her being the Scarlet Witch when she was dressed up at the Halloween party like the damn Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, so when they got to it at the end, it wasn't such a surprise, even for someone who wasn't involved.
Yeah, it's just a modernization of her costume, really, because what she wore in the Halloween episode was like the classic comic book costume.
Mm-hmm.
But we know, listen, comic books, especially comic books that came out 50 plus years ago, like that shit doesn't look right in real life.
Yeah.
You know, look at the X-Men movies and how they changed those outfits because their comic book outfits were very different, and that's the way it is. Like, so, people aren't running around in spandex in you know the 2000s.
So the Sword section, there was a TV show that was about that, wasn't there?
Well, it was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
But that was basically the same thing, right?
Well, Sword in this universe and in the comics also is kind of a spin-off of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
Sword, S.H.I.E.L.D. is Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, and they are kind of like, how can I put it? They basically handle things on Earth.
Okay.
And then Sword, the W stands for weapons. I forget exactly what the full acronym is, but they deal more with I think it's sentient weapons, so it's kind of almost dealing with stuff like Vision, where, you know, or like Wanda, really, because it's like you've got these people with powers, and some of those people go the fuck off.
Wikipedia is saying it's the space-based counterpart of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. Well, they haven't fully gotten into the space side of things yet, which I'm sure is going to happen later. Because if you follow in the Marvel movies, they've revealed that Nick Fury is up in space right now.
Uh-huh.
So eventually, I think Captain Marvel 2 might delve into that a bit, or there's another show that they have planned called Secret Invasion that might get into that as well.
Right.
So a lot of this stuff is all future planning. Marvel is very good, and we've talked about it on here before. Marvel succeeds where every other company fails, even within Disney. Like, they've tried to do this stuff with Star Wars, and it's bombed.
Mm-hmm.
And only now with The Mandalorian has it actually done well. That Marvel's people have mastered the long-term storytelling in ways that no other company can do it. DC tried to do it, and it hasn't gone well for them. Star Wars, we've talked about the sequel movies and what a terrible toilet they are.
Let me pose this to you.
Go for it.
What if Marvel took over Star Wars?
Well, I think what's happening now is that's kind of happening. because Jon Favreau, who created The Mandalorian, was the guy who helped write and direct the first Iron Man movie, which was the start of the MCU.
Okay.
So technically, what you're asking is already
in
happening. Because Jon Favreau is very hands-on, and if you believe everything that's out there on YouTube land, and I don't attest to the accuracy of all this. Supposedly, there's a big war going on within Lucasfilm now.
That he wants to come back, right?
Well, he's heavily involved with The Mandalorian, but it's the idea of what their direction is from here. Because he's not the head of Lucasfilm. There's a woman named Kathleen Kennedy who is, and we talked about this.
I'm talking about George Lucas wants to come back and make his own damn films again.
Yeah, supposedly there's videos of him being on set with them at The Mandalorian, and he's been acting as a consultant. But I don't know how much involvement he's going to have. But the word is that there's a war behind the scenes as far as what direction to go in the future. Because Kathleen Kennedy was running things, and she's the one that created the sequel trilogy, which bombed in a lot of ways. And she's the one that's also, like we talked about the theme park stuff also, this theme park stuff is all based on this new sequel trilogy, and it's doing well, but it could be doing a lot better. So the word is, there's a war as far as the future direction, because you got The Mandalorian going in one way that's very different from the way the sequel movies went. And the sequel movies, you had the first one that came out that was okay, the second one that everybody was either hot or cold on, and then the third one was just kind of a mess just to kind of fix the second one.
I still haven't seen the second or third one because I just don't care. I want to care, but I just don't care.
Like I told you, and I'm curious where Tim lies in all of this. Like I told you, I absolutely hate it, but I know people who go either way. I know plenty of people that loved it, and I know plenty of people that hated it. To me, being a diehard, since I saw the first one when I was 3 years old, and my mother took me to the theater opening weekend, I'm a diehard Star Wars fan, and never in my life did I think I would hate a Star Wars movie. And I got up after The Last Jedi and was like, what the fuck did I just watch?
That's how I felt on the first one. That
Force Awakens?
No.
Oh.
The first prequel. I was just so
Phantom
angry.
Menace?
Yeah, I was so angry.
Tim, where do you stand on all of this?
I grew up, and of course, when I was really young, my parents showed me the original trilogy, and I liked those. And then I was still kind of young when Phantom Menace and all that came out, so I didn't really see how bad they were when I was young. I was Darth Maul one year for fucking Halloween as a kid and shit like that. But now that I watch them back, it's hard to watch the prequel movies, but I watched Force Awakens, and I kind of enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was anything groundbreaking. And then they came through and shit on my life with The Last Jedi. I tried to watch it bootleg, and it's a 3-hour movie, and I watched it bootleg, and about an hour and a half in, I guess whoever was recording decided to eat popcorn right into the fucking microphone. So I was like, I can't watch this bootleg. So, and it was one of those that the picture quality was shitty if I tried to stream it to my TV, which would have made the popcorn sound bearable, but because the picture was so shitty, I had to watch it on my phone with headphones, and that made the popcorn thing unbearable. So I was like, all right, fuck this. I'm off tomorrow. I'm buying a 9 or an 11:30 ticket, and I went by myself to see the movie, and I fucking hated it. I saw the first half bootleg, and I was like, maybe it's gonna get better. I know it's a long movie, but there just wasn't a lot that happens in the first half, and in the second half, what happens I didn't like at all. Like I don't know, and I never watched the third one because of it. Like I just let somebody tell me what happens in it, and I didn't really care when they told me what happened.
Yeah, I mean the third one was just like, damn, we really fucked up with this second one, so let's shove like 3 movies worth into one movie.
Yeah, that's
just to fix it. And we'll throw the Emperor in there because people like the Emperor. It's total. Like I never in my life did I think I would hate a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
And I went with Glenn from Billy Club, and the two of us after the movie just looked at each other and was like, "What the fuck did we just watch?" Like we were just so incensed with it. Like, oh, it was so bad.
Like the whole fucking like blue milk scene and shit like that.
Oh, that was the worst. That and like
I'm happy that I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about right now.
Oh, dude, there's so much wrong. Like, part of me wants you to see this movie just so that we could talk about it and shit on it for 3 hours, but part of me doesn't wish it on you ever.
See, based on everything that I've heard you say, and then multiple people just like jump right on the boat with you, I'm like, that is an ocean I don't need to be in.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to like go out of my way to watch it. If it happens to like come on TV and I literally don't have anything better to do, maybe I'll watch it. But I'm not going to actually load this thing up when there are thousands of other things for me to watch.
Yeah, it was so poor. Like the poor is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
And some people like it. Oh, it's different. And it's like, I don't want different. Like, I'm a Star Wars fan. Like, I want a Star Wars movie. Don't give me different. If I want to see different, I'll go watch something else. I'm watching a fucking Star Wars movie.
Now I want them to give me a General Grievous origin story, kind of show how he became like a fucking bot, like an android and shit. You know, like with his illness and stuff. Like, that's the kind of stuff I want to see in a movie, not these fucking, like, let's just, like Rogue One. I didn't watch Rogue One, but I heard good things.
Rogue One was really, really, really good.
Yeah, but then I heard a lot of people say Han Solo was kind of like, whatever.
See, and this is one of the things that really bothers me because I don't think the Solo movie was terrible.
Yeah.
But I think people were so soured by The Last Jedi that
there was no way to win.
That, like, it still had the stink of The Last Jedi on it, and that's why people hate it.
Yeah.
Because was it perfect? No. Was it great? It was all right. Like, but I enjoyed it for what it was. And a lot of it is just blatant, like, Easter egg shit.
Yeah.
You know, even down to, like, his name, Han Solo, which they explain in the movie. But, listen, I was fine with it. But so many people just hated on everything. And I really think that a lot of it had to do with just the taste of The Last Jedi still being in their mouths.
Yeah. My thing is just with, but like for instance, the reason I even brought that one up, because like I said, I hadn't seen it, so, and I hadn't heard just bad things, but I heard like mixed reviews or whatever.
Yeah.
But my thing is like you have all these characters in all these movies. Why pick the one that people are going to be like, or like one of the few that people are super attached to and like really love? It's like you can pick a character that's literally fully CGI, and I don't mean like, you know, obviously nobody wants to see a fucking Jar Jar movie, but you know, people would be interested in a, but you know, like a General Grievous movie. Like people would be like, oh, that, you know, that would be interesting, especially once you see what the origin kind of is, because you know a lot of people don't know. They just saw him in the movie and were like, oh, he's a robot. It's like, or android, you know, or droid. I guess it's droid in the Star Wars realm, is not android, but
yeah.
So, you know, they just see him as that, but it's like, no, that motherfucker was a full-on human until he got sick, you know, like a full-on Jedi or whatever, and that, like, I don't even think he was a bad guy for, you know, I think because I don't know the story fully, I just know that he, you know, wasn't always a robot, and his illness turned him that way and stuff.
Yeah, there's a whole story to it. I don't know the full story either. I think it's one of those things that gets covered heavily in the animated shows.
Yeah.
But and in a way, I kind of regret it now because some of the Mandalorian stuff ties into it, but I never really watched the animated stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not as up on that whole history. And like I said, in the Mandalorian, they start working that stuff in too, and I'm like, damn, now I wish I watched it. But of course, like, I still haven't gone back to it yet. But
yeah, I haven't done it.
Yeah, they just got so many characters they could have picked. Like they could have done a Qui-Gon movie. You know, he only had the Phantom Menace movie. So it's literally like a character. It's like a Jedi that people know the name, but do they really have any kind of attachment to the character?
Right.
So it's like, they announced all these characters, like even the Darth Maul movie that was announced and kind of got, has been backburnered for now or whatever. That's one I was really excited for too, because other than a few appearances in, I think he had the appearance in it was in Rogue One or Solo that he had the appearance in.
It was Solo.
Yeah, so he had that appearance.
He pops up.
And then I think I've heard from people that he's in the cartoons. Yeah, sorry. If you want to leave that out, that's cool. It's old.
Listen. No, by now, Solo's been out for a couple of years now, so it's probably been spoiled for people already. I'm just making fun of it.
My theory on all spoilers is really that if after 48 hours, you can't be expecting to not be spoiled. Like, I'll give you a 2-day window, and then after that, kiss my whole ass.
Yeah, it's usually opening weekend you got for like a movie that's in theaters. Like nowadays with everything streaming though, I feel like the window is closing. Like you don't have, like you shouldn't get as long.
Well, I guess for theatrical movies, I'll give it a little longer because some people don't like to go opening weekend. But you know what? It's been a couple of years now. By the way, they blew up the Death Star. Spoiler. Oh wait,
they blew it up twice technically.
They blew up 2 Death Stars. Spoiler. Sorry guys, hate to spoil it for you.
And Darth Vader is his father.
Darth Vader is his father, and Obi-Wan dies at the end.
And Leia is his sister.
Yep.
And he almost kissed her.
And Leia flies like fucking Mary Poppins.
Yeah, that was the one part that I was like, "What the fuck is this bitch doing?"
Yeah, Len, be glad you didn't see it.
I didn't see it, so I don't even know what to talk.
That was the point in the movie where I was just like, "What the fuck?"
Throw my popcorn.
Oh, getting mad just thinking about it. God damn it.
I don't think I've been that pissed off since my dad brought a date to the movies and made us go see the fucking Lady Killers instead of Girl Next Door. I was so fucking mad.
Yo, Girl Next Door that girl is so hot.
Oh yeah, and like I seen the previews going in, and I was like a 13 or 14-year-old kid, hormones just raging, and my dad's like, "We're going to see Girl Next Door," and then the next thing I know, he's like, "Never mind, a date's meeting us at the mall, and we're gonna go see the Lady Killers instead," and that is the worst fucking Tom Hanks movie ever made. I haven't watched it again since. I don't know if it was soured because, of course, went from seeing the Girl Next Door to that, but I feel like it was one of the, and I love the Marlon Wayans as well, and he's in it, and I fucking hated that movie.
What was the Girl Next Door?
It's Alicia Cuthbert from 24.
Oh yeah.
That movie was a terrible movie. Terrible movie.
Yeah.
But
fun.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
Well,
and
you can look at her for a while.
Yeah. And there's like a whole scene where they're at there's a bunch of porn scenes. There's the whole scene where they're at the video awards and everything too. So.
Well, all right, let's put this into fucking perspective. That movie came out in 2004. That was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, 12.
It was always goddamn 20 years ago. So I want to go backwards just for a second because we were talking about The Mandalorian. We were talking.
Hold on a second. What did you say? You were 12?
You said wait, what? 2004?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 12. I was born in 92.
Oh, damn it!
Yeah, I'm only 29.
Oh,
young man on the scene.
Now we got to do old man complaining for a while.
Oh, yo, so
why are we letting these young people on our show?
I don't know. We're gonna have to have a permanent ban. I
teach y'all about good movies.
Sorry. Teach me about good movies, son. What are you
Halloween
talking?
3. Halloween 3.
I'm about to delete you from this conversation. Hang him up. Hang him up now.
Oh no.
Changing it back.
Before we get to that, because we're coming to that in a minute. PCU 1994 was the first time that I was introduced to Jon Favreau as Gutter.
Yes.
And I absolutely fucking love that movie, and it's crazy to me that Gutter is the guy that's bringing me all the best Star Wars material at this point.
And by the way, he's a couple of years older than me, but we went to the same high school.
Really?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Went to the Bronx High School of Science.
That's crazy.
I forget what year he graduated, but he was a couple of years ahead of me.
He didn't start acting till 92.
Yeah.
So
he's 54, so he was long gone by the time I was there.
Yeah, born 66.
Yeah. So he graduated. He was probably there 8 years later or something.
Okay.
Something like that.
So that, and then my second encounter where I was absolutely in love with a movie that Jon Favreau was in is Swingers. Did you see?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I fucking love that movie. I think I probably have watched it almost as many times as I've watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
And by the way, it was 6 years difference because he graduated there in 84. I graduated there in 90.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
So you just kind of missed him.
Just missed him.
Yeah, Ferris Bueller's up there for me as well as all-time favorite. I noticed when your name was Abe from and the
softest King of Chicago.
Yeah. I was going to say, I remember the King of Chicago part. I couldn't remember what King of Chicago. But.
Classic.
What you have to imagine, this was long before you were born. In 1986, when that movie came out, I was going to camp, and the camp I was in, if it was raining, they were like, all right, you have 3 things you could do. We can either play indoor tennis, and you stay here. You could go to the movies, or you could go bowling. They sent, some buses to the bowling alleys and some buses to the movies. I saw Ferris Bueller in the theater 10 times that summer.
Fuck yeah.
So I have been obsessed with this movie from the jump.
Yeah.
And I could not even put a number on the amount of times that I've seen the movie. There isn't a scene that I don't think that I couldn't, act. If you were like, all right, here's Matthew Broderick, you're playing Cameron, I would be able to run any line he needed run.
Nice.
No thought. Lights out. Because I personally identify with Cameron more than Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
Just as a person. But I absolutely love that movie.
No, right. That's how I am with Back to the Future. I don't know how many times I could count. I watched that movie so many fucking times, and it doesn't help that they show it on AMC 72 times a week, so I can watch that shit whenever I want. But.
So,
yep. I'm like that with a few. I'm like that with definitely with Flash Gordon.
See, I really like Flash Gordon.
I've seen Flash Gordon hundreds of times.
So, Tim,
and if you didn't like Flash Gordon, you need to check yourself.
I'm gonna wreck myself.
Yeah.
Tim, let me ask you this: Back to the Future 3. How do you feel about it?
I still enjoy it. I just it's definitely my least favorite, but I still enjoy it. I feel like it's one big. I always like to think of that as a perfect trilogy because of how it runs as one big movie. You could watch it.
Right. You could watch it straight through. And they tie the end of each movie to the next movie. I got you.
Yeah.
Well, they did film 2 and 3 at the same time, if I remember right.
Yeah, they were filmed right at the exact same time.
Yeah.
They came out, I think, 1 year apart.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I remember them filming it at the same time because back then that was unheard of.
Yeah.
Now,
I can't get into 3. Yeah, I watched it and I enjoyed it as a early teen.
Yeah.
I think it came out in '89, so I was 13 or whatever. But as I got older, only the first 2 hold up.
Yeah. No, with the third one for me, it's one of those that if I have the trilogy, for instance, a lot of times if I go into a streaming service and the trilogy's up there, I'll pick between 1 or 2 and put one of those 2 on. But I never put 3 on its own. It has to be on TV for me to just watch it again. So I enjoy it, but it's never my choice. It's just not bad. But to me, it's not I think if I was
not as good.
Yeah, I think if I was alive when it came out, I'd probably like it less, but because I didn't have like the excitement waiting for it for years type thing. You know what I mean? Like, like I wasn't like waiting for it. Well, I guess like you said, it was only a year, but still, like I didn't have that even a year of waiting for it. You know, I kind of just watched it growing up and like one time, and I was like, okay, so that's how it's completed, and then I forgot about it and just kept watching 1 and 2 over and over again. But
so here's something that I think they fucked up in part 2.
Yeah.
Doc talks about that there's 1985, and then he goes back to 1955. When he comes back, it's 1985A. And then he suggests that he goes back again, and then when he comes back again, or maybe they go forward and they come back. So when they come back the third time, it should actually be 1985B. They never get back to the original 1985. Everything is fucked. But they never actually talk about that.
Yeah. No, that's true. They kind of like avoid... They spend so much quick time, and because like as soon as he shows up at the end of 2, the guy shows up and he's like, "Here's a letter for you" or whatever from Doc Brown, and they pretty much just like ignore like how like the state of
like the town, like what happened.
Yeah, like you only see him at the like the real estate sign at the end of 2, and then at the beginning of 3, I think he's like immediately whisked away to fucking Western or whatever
town. Yeah, they go all the way back in time, 1885.
Yeah, so they completely ignore the fact that Doc and Marty probably destroyed a whole bunch of people's lives. They were just
like everything is fucked up.
Yeah, we'll skip over that because you never even I think even at the end of 3, all you see is him and Jennifer say goodbye to Doc and his new wife or whatever on the train with the kids or whatever, and then they just take off on the train, and Doc and Jennifer are like, all right, let's go. And it's the end of the movie. It's like you never see them even go back into the town, or I can remember the name of the mall, Twin Pines, but I can't remember the name of the town. But
oh God, I don't remember either.
I can't remember off the top of my head. But the only thing I ever wanted from part 3 to a new movie was if they were going to do that, I wanted the 2 kids to be the focus of the next movie and not Doc.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to continue Back to the Future in any way, I do not want to see another story of Doc and Marty.
Yeah, I never wanted to see a Back to the Future sequel, but the way that they kind of do Cobra Kai, I think would be cool for Back to the Future.
Yeah, that's what I mean, something like that, where it's not necessarily the focus. But with Michael J. Fox being as bad off as he is, I don't see it happening at all.
Yeah, I don't see it happening.
No, he'd have to be very limited on screen. He even tried to do that one show where he kind of like played a version of himself, and I think it failed due to his Parkinson's and shit.
So speaking of episode 3,
before we get into this, I've been drinking beer as well, so let me go piss one more time, and then we'll get into this shit, because this is going to be...
he's got to mentally prepare himself.
And let me get another drink, actually, too, because doing these late-night ones, I'll be honest, my voice starts to go about 8 or 9, so I got to keep my mouth moist.
Keep it liquidated.
I'm sure you're going to hear from John Wren again shortly, because he knows that we're talking about him.
John Wren. I love that kid. I love that kid.
Oh man, he's funny as hell.
It's hard for me to find people that I actually like truly get along with. But obviously you, John Wren, and like a few specific people in my life that I know that I can have a candid conversation, and even if I shit on you about something, you know that I'm only doing it because I know you can take it and will serve it back to me just as hard, and it's fine. Most people can't take it, but I know I can shit all over John Wren, and he's not going to as long as I don't come for like his family. Like there's lines you don't cross, but I can call him a short bald fuck, and it's not gonna like.
Well, we definitely have to, as things calm down, we definitely have to try to do the live episode with him again.
Oh, for sure.
And that'll be entertaining as shit. Even more so now because he'll just be complaining about the lost episode.
No, of course. So, speaking of episode 3, what the fuck are you thinking that episode 3 of Halloween is any fucking good with that terrible background you got going on right now.
It's the best in the franchise, man.
No, it is not. It absolutely is not, because number one, Halloween 1 is the best in the franchise, followed by the last Halloween that came out like 2 years ago.
Hell no. I will say that number 1 is the best one, and then to me it's 1, 2, and 3. Like actually, like the original number 2, and then like I like 1, 2, and 3 in that order. The one that just came out 2 years ago is good, but I don't know if I'd put it second in the series though. I don't even know if I put it above 4. I think I like 4 better than the newest one.
I definitely don't like 4 better than the newest one. The newest one was gritty in a way that I think that most of the other ones are not.
Yeah, but
so,
that also kind of felt like the Michael Bay remake of Texas Chainsaw to me in that aspect of like.
I didn't feel that at all, and I hate the Michael Bay aspect of most anything.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as far as like let's do the same beats, just with like that little extra grit and gore. Like, I'm not saying it was I didn't mean that in a negative way.
No, that's fine.
I just mean that because like Michael Bay produced the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. That was one of the remakes that he was like, and I love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. But I'm just saying, like, I like the one remake. I don't like like the new ones that just happened were fucking garbage. Like with, Alexandria Daddario and that one Leatherface. Yeah, they're unwatchable. Don't watch them. Like,
don't worry, I'm not. Do not have to worry about it. I went to the theater to see the first original Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, and I sat there just stunned at how bad I thought it was, because I was so engrossed in the original, and nothing will ever live up to the original for me. So it doesn't even matter if it was good or not. I just wasn't going to think it was good.
Yeah, and see, that's where my experience probably is why I like it, because it came out in 2003, so I think I was 11. So, like, to me, that was like, I think that was the first Texas Chainsaw I had seen was the remake, because that was about the time I stopped being scared of horror movies. So I started like really dive into like current shit at the time.
Right.
And that was one that like I actually got to go see in the theaters, I believe, because I think the first horror movie I saw in theaters was Wrong Turn, and it was like earlier that year.
Okay.
And then,
okay.
Yeah, that's a fun one, and that's one I like to go back to now. But again, it hits the nostalgia strings, just kind of like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake does for me. It's like, I definitely see where, like, after now that I'm older and I've watched the original, I love the original way more than the remake, and I see why people who grew up attached to the original hate the remake. Like, I can 100% see that.
Yeah.
So like, I definitely see why you feel that way, but that's just
Jessica Biel is always hot. So it was fine watching the movie.
And Arlie Ermey is always good on screen.
Arlie Ermey is
like
great.
As an actor.
No, like, but for me, it was just that it didn't matter what they did. I wasn't going to like it. I went to watch it anyway because the girl I was dating at the time wanted to go see the movie. So you go see the fucking movie. But you know what? I hated every single minute of it because it just wasn't what it was. And we talked about it about Aliens earlier and Prometheus. Like, there's no way that you can recapture what has already been fantasized in your mind about this is the movie. Right. So it really doesn't matter what they do. It's just like when they remade Dawn of
the Dead?
Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
And like I know that there are people out there that absolutely love the Dawn of the Dead remake.
I'm one of them too.
I fucking hate the goddamn movie because the original, there was no reason to remake the movie.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. So Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 are basically the same movie, but Evil Dead 2 has more budget. But they didn't change the movie in a way. They made it better. They didn't make it worse.
Right.
And it wasn't so far departed from the time period in which they made the first. So it wasn't... I don't hate that movie in the way that I hate some of these other remakes that come out years and years later, where they've updated it so much that it it almost doesn't have the same feeling as the original.
Yeah.
But watching Halloween 2017, I guess it was, or 18?
18, because it was 40 years.
Okay, so 2000.
Right.
That movie, I feel like, of all the sequels that have ever existed, captured the feeling of the first movie best.
Yeah, but that's actually kind of why I dislike it. Is I feel like it captures it because it's almost copy and paste a little bit in the middle of the film. Because like the parts I don't like about it are the parts that aren't copying the original movie. Like I hate the beginning part with the two podcasters trying to like bug the fuck out of Jamie Lee Curtis. Mm-hmm. I don't really like. They're completely expendable. They get murdered immediately. Like they're literally just the story that carries Michael to get his costume, because he would have gone back to Haddonfield regardless of them being in Haddonfield. He didn't get out because of them. You know what I mean? Like he still got out on Halloween night. So I felt like they were just a useless start to the film. And then the end of the film, like I liked it, but at the same time it's like, do we have to do that? Like, is he dead? Is he not dead again? Like, and then you go and announce 2 sequels after that. Like, oh, then he's obviously not fucking dead. So it was like, that's what kind of bugged me, is it was like, I think that took away from the movie as well, as like when they announced the sequels, because I was like, damn, like I really thought that it might be over. You know, like they showed the house burning and like empty, but you know, I thought it was kind of like finally going to be that big ambiguous ending, and then it's like, oh no, he's going to survive that too, and Jamie Lee Curtis is going to survive her shit too, and we're going to do this again, and it's. So I think the ending and beginning of that movie really fall flat for me, but that middle part where it's like he's kind of walking the neighborhood and he murders the old couple, and you kind of see it from like there's one scene where they show it and the camera follows him. Well, actually, it follows him bump into the 3 kids wearing the mask from Halloween 3, and the greatest movie in the franchise. So then, but he bumps into them, and then he goes and it follows him. He like walks behind the house, but when he walks like down the alleyway, and it like the camera stays in the front window, and you just see him disappear down the alleyway, and then through the front window you see him come in the back door and like murder the old lady, and then like as the guy's doing the blinds, you see him like walk up and like kill him too, and it's like that shit was awesome, and it was like my favorite part of the movie, but it literally felt like those amped up versions of the first movie when he's kind of stalking the girls and the babysitters, and he's like moving from house to house like earlier on and stuff like that. And
right.
So that's why I liked the movie, but it just felt very like, and I feel like it only worked because of 40 years removed. If that was a sequel that came out 5 years later, people would have been like, oh fuck, they just did the same shit. Like,
so this is where we get into the conversation that Gary has had multiple times. They gave me the fan service that is required for me to enjoy the product. If they hadn't had that stuff as you're talking about in the center of the movie, I may not have felt the same way. But you have not you, but they have hit me with part 2. Part 2 is pretty good. I see it as just an extension of part 1. So when I talk about the first movie, I'm really actually talking about both part 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Then they hit me with that trash that you like, number 3, which is just not like a movie at all.
The masterpiece.
I tried to watch it recently.
Hold on. Let's talk about why.
Well, let me finish my thought, because I'm going to.
Okay, go ahead.
So they hit me with 3, and 3 is just not. It just isn't a Halloween movie the way that I expected a Halloween movie to be. So that automatically put me on guard and think it's not a good movie. And then on top of it, the song is so irritating, but I can recall it at any moment because it's that bad.
That's my alarm.
Oh God. So that.
Oh my God.
4, 5, and 6 are kind of like in their own world together.
Oh, 6 is a pile of shit.
6 is only a pile of shit if you watch the regular cut, but the specialty cut is very good.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, I'll give you that, because I've only watched the specialty cut like on YouTube. I haven't actually been able to find it and watch it, but I will say that.
I don't think I ever watched the specialty cut.
I have it in a box back there. I own it.
I will say it is better, though, like from what I saw.
So much better. The specialty cut is so much better.
Anyway, Levitt.
And then, like H2O is a bad movie, but then Resurrection is fucking unwatchable.
Yeah.
So we're talking like a span of like 40 years of not remix, but just like sequels and spin-offs and this, that, and the other thing. And then you finally put something on the fucking table that is palatable. So that's how that movie gets into that like upper position, because I've had to sit through so much trash along the way.
Yeah, so technically it would sit at 3 for you, because you see it 2 as an extension of
1. I mean, 1 and 2 are basically the same movie to me, because it's just the next day.
Yeah. See, for me, it would be like if if we're counting 2 as a different movie, it would be 1, 2, Season of the Witch, then it'd be 4, and then it would be the new one from 2018, then 5.
But I feel like you can't really separate 4 and 5 that much.
I don't know. 5 is hard to watch.
It's hard to watch, but it's an extension of part 4.
Yeah, but you could stop the story after 4 and not watch 5 and be happy with it. I mean,
but you can't watch 5 without 4.
You can't watch 5 without 4, but that's why 5 is way later than 4 on my list, because it would make less sense if I had 5 higher up, because it's like, well, you couldn't have 5 without 4, but you can't have 4 without 5. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it'd be just like if I said I liked Halloween 2 better than Halloween 1. Which really doesn't make any fucking sense. Yeah, it makes no fucking sense, because it's like you said, it's literally
it's like same movie.
The deleted ending they didn't get to put on. Like,
yeah.
It's the second half of the movie that was just too long to make.
Yeah, if John Carpenter was making movies today where Midsommar and Hereditary are 3 hours and blockbuster hits, it's like he would probably just have made one long-ass fucking movie to begin with. But
yeah, probably.
Especially because his whole plot, like, and that's why, like, and it'll kind of lead me back to Halloween 3, so we can talk about that a little bit, but that's kind of why I, like, enjoy Halloween 3, and, like, that's why it went the way it did, is because that was his, like, original plan, was to do the anthology series. And I feel like the only reason he had that extra story to tack on to Halloween 1 was probably because that shit was already written, and it was supposed to be the whole story. It was, but it was back in a time when horror movies, they wanted very little budget. Yeah, they didn't want no long stories. Like, they wanted it to be as short and sweet. So, but, 3 is kind of like him finally doing that. Well, not him personally, but him being a part of it.
Under an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Always.
Anyway, the upgradepodcast.net for all the links, etc. And we will be back again next week. Thanks again, Tim. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.
Peace.